My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and this is a senior network production. And the name of our show is Avila Making a Difference, Transforming Lives Through Mission. And I have 4 guests today. And my first guest is Reverend Cerna Castro Rand. She's the Associate Pastor at the First United Methodist Church at the Chicago Temple, located here downtown Chicago, Illinois, USA. My second guest I have is Reverend Leo Constantino, and he's a retired clergy of the Northern Illinois Conference of the United Methodist Church. And my third guest I have is Emily Pernell. She's the president of the Mabuhay Fellowship of the First Chicago United Methodist Church at the Chicago Temple. And Mabuhay means long life. And I hope we all have a long life. And my last guest is Brian Richardson. He's a businessman, and he's chair of the Chicago Temple Fund of the First United Methodist Church, and he's a co-chair of the Mission Committee of the Chicago Temple. Glad you're on our show, and as I mentioned, the name of our show is Transforming Lives Through Mission. Yes. And you know, Reverend, or let me call you Cerna.
Cerna, yes.
Cerna, okay?
Yes, yeah.
That'd be easier.
Easier,
yeah.
exactly.
Cerna, what is a mission site?
Well, the mission site are the places that we go to do mission work. For instance, this trip to 2009 in the Philippines is going to be Harris Memorial College and Mactan Island. It's in Cebu, which is an ecumenical island venture.
And the mission site, maybe I think we have some images, yes, of the Philippines, where the Philippines is located at.
Yes.
And we're going to bring them on the screen right now. And maybe you could explain the location where they're at. And also, right there, they're on the screen. Explain, who could explain where the Philippines are, in case our audience does not know where the Philippines are at?
The Philippines is in Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia?
Yes, yes, near Japan and Taiwan.
Taiwan, Vietnam.
Indonesia, and Vietnam, yes. That's Southeast Asia.
And the Philippines is made up of a lot of islands?
7,000 plus.
Oh my God, 7,000 islands?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Speaking 70 languages.
70 languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so why why should we, living here in Chicago, because your group is with the United Methodist Church of the Chicago Temple,
mission, yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Why should we be concerned of doing mission work? Sir?
Well, it's the nature of the church to go out into the world and reach out to those in need.
In need. How about you, Brian? Do you have any opinion on that?
Everyone should experience a mission trip at least once, because, as you said, it's transforming lives. Mm-hmm. It's not only transforming the lives of the people that are the recipients of the gift that we are giving, the renovations, the health, the medical that they receive, but it's the companionship and the bonds that are formed, the connections that become and occur over these 2 weeks or a week and a half project. You'll find when you come back, you're going to be receiving letters. You're going to be wanting to tell everyone how it's changed your life. Your experience when you go visit a place on vacation, you see the tourist spots. You don't interact with the individuals and really get to meet the families and see how life truly is in these locations. Mm. But when you go on a mission trip and you work side by side with somebody that's going to be the recipient of this, the pride that they take and the joy that they receive by your gifts and of giving them the materials and providing them with something, a legacy that's going to last for years to come, they're going to send you letters and gifts of thank you. And when you come back, it's going to be something that you'll never forget the rest of your life.
And they have different needs.
Yes.
We're here in the United States, here locally in Chicago. And we have needs. Most of our people here, we all have different needs.
Yes.
And they have different needs.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, the church mission is to help people.
Right.
And so the mission site, when I said the mission site, you mentioned that it's, explain that again?
We are going to Harris Memorial College. It's a United Methodist college that we will be serving for a week.
In Taytay.
In Taytay. It's a
suburb of Manila.
Yes, suburb of Manila. And we will be doing medical and dental mission for the students and the staff that needed the service. And then we will also be doing construction paint job.
And then that's one site.
That's one site.
How many sites are you going to be visiting?
Two. We are going to
sites?
2 places, yes.
And each place has different needs.
Yes, yes.
And by going to this mission site, who's sponsoring this site? Who's sponsoring the mission, Leo?
Well, this project happens to be sponsored by the Chicago Temple, based in Chicago Temple, but it's a work of the United Methodist Churches in Chicago area. So several churches are joining us. Our team comes from different Methodist churches. And these 2 sites have been selected to be partners with us in doing something that are solid and more or less on a lasting basis. And mission is sharing life. Sharing the good news in Jesus Christ, sharing our concept and our faith. And so whatever we need that we could help fill, both ourselves and the people that we serve, we both serve one another in the sharing of life and joy of the faith. And this is mission project for us.
Now, you mentioned you have several churches. How many people total is going on this mission site?
Well, right now we have a confirm of 19 people. 19? Yes.
Oh,
and
19.
Most of these people are coming from the First United Methodist Church of the Chicago Temple, and some of them are coming from your church, which is Edison Park United Methodist Church. And of course, this trip is open for
and Aldersgate.
And Aldersgate United Methodist Church.
Wheaton.
Yes.
Okay, so it's in a total of 19 people.
Yes.
So far.
So far.
Yeah.
Now, what are the type of mission projects that you're going to do now? You mentioned that you're going to go to
Harris Memorial College.
Harris Memorial, and what town is that in?
It's in Taytay.
Taytay?
It's
How large?
Province of Rizal.
Province of Rizal. You know, this is all new to me.
New to you, exactly.
Because I have never been to the Philippines.
Yeah.
I know that during World War II, a lot of our soldiers served in
Rizal is one of our primary provinces, which had counted Manila as part of it before. So it surrounds a great portion of Manila.
And here's the picture of the map showing where Sherry, could you bring that up again? Now here's on the screen there, right? And there's the Philippines there.
Yes.
Manila, of course, is at the very center of the country.
Yes.
And so Taytay is just the vicinity, just a suburb of Manila.
Now, are we looking at all 7,000 islands here?
Yes.
All
yes, in the map.
The whole
In
picture, but at the center of that big map is Manila.
Yeah.
I see. Now how do you pick where your mission sites are going to be at? Do you plan? Who plans all this? I mean, before you go, someone has to sit down and say, well, where are we needed the most?
Yes.
And who does that, and how do you plan? Brian?
We are, as a Methodist church, we are based on connections and connectionalism. So the connections that we formed from previous visits, from people that have members of different congregations that have been there, we open it up for invitations. We don't go any place without them first inviting us to be a part of the mission. Because it's not us going necessarily there, it's them wanting us and wanting our help. And then in return, they provide the partnerships to work with us, the side-by-side companionship that makes a truly successful mission is the teamwork that goes together when the two groups from both sides of the ocean come together.
I see. And when you mentioned that they invite you, so probably you might get invited from different countries.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You might go to different countries that invites you. Well, what other countries have you gone to, Emily?
I was in Cuba twice.
Cuba twice?
Yeah.
I was in Haiti.
Haiti?
I was in
Chile.
Ghana. Africa.
Ghana? And you mean the people in Cuba ask for help, and is that through AMCOR, United Methodist
Committee on Relief.
Is that through AMCOR or through the Chicago Temple?
Through the Chicago Temple.
That's surprising because Cuba, I know it's against the law to travel to Cuba. I mean, I would love to go to Cuba.
Not against the Bible.
Yeah.
and so there was someone in Cuba or some group in Cuba invited the Methodist Church, the Chicago Temple, to come and help them in Cuba, and that's within the law probably.
We had to get a special license from the State Department
Have to get a special
travel.
license to go and help the people in Cuba.
It's
Also,
the
we
pastor in Cuba that invited our senior pastor here in the church, and
Yeah.
so we were able to go there. A matter of fact, September 27, we were supposed to go there for the third time,
Oh.
but then September 11 broke out, so we were not able to go.
Yes.
But we had all our tickets. They told us we could go, but we'll not be able to come back.
Oh,
No.
oh, you mean the United States won't let you back in,
Yeah.
even though you're a United States citizen?
Yeah.
But you know, this volunteers in mission work is in the perspective of worldwide church. We are one church all over the world, so we are part of one another.
Yes.
And therefore, when one part of the world asks for our help in terms of some specific project that they want done in the name of the gospel and helping one another, then they call for our help. And we're not the only ones doing this.
Yeah.
All over the United States, this is being done all over the world.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're just one among many, maybe
Right.
hundreds.
Yes, I understand.
So we're glad to do what we can, and that is the subject of our discussion at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
That this happens to be the project in which our group of people here are participating. So it's one among so many.
I remember.
Going back to your
Yeah.
question about who plans this trip.
Yes.
Specifically, for example, this trip in 2009, this is being planned by the Missions Committee of the First United Methodist Church of the Chicago Temple. And any time we have an invitation to go and do mission trip, we always plan it through the church.
Oh, he's planning through the church?
Yes.
Now, your mission that you're going to now is through the United Methodist Church Chicago Temple, located downtown Chicago.
Yes.
That is the sponsor?
Yes.
Okay. And your mission trip is going to be in February
Yes.
Oh, what's
12 through 28.
12th through the 28th,
Of
2009.
Yes.
And that is your mission, and the people in this case, there was a group in the Philippines asking for your help. It could have been someone in Florida helping for your help, because I think the Chicago Temple or United Methodist Corps went down and helped the people in Florida or wherever there's need throughout the world. It could be in the United States
Or in India.
or in India
Yes.
or in
Chile.
Chile.
Yes, we have been.
Or
We do
throughout
the
the world.
sponsoring here, but we also the co-sponsors are the people out there.
Yes.
So we work with the leadership there to serve the identified needs that they come up with.
Oh, well, that's I'm glad that I hear that the United Methodist Church Chicago Temple is sponsoring trips, mission trips throughout the world to help people in need of help. It could be
Yes.
in the United States or in Europe.
Sure.
Now, who are the leaders on your trip to the Philippines, leaving February 2009?
Yes, I will be co-leading this trip with Brian Richardson.
Brian Richardson?
This is our third time co-leading trips to the Philippines together.
oh.
Yes.
And that makes you a good leader then, right?
Experience it. It really helps.
Now, what are the responsibility of a leader? I mean, what is your responsibility with your group of so far 19? Because you could end up with maybe 20 or 30 people, right?
Exactly.
And so whoever's out there that wants to go on a mission trip with the United Methodist Church Chicago Temple, they could contact Cerna or Brian and go on a mission trip. And if you haven't been on one, I guess it's fulfilling
Yes.
to go on a mission trip, and anyone could join your group
Yes,
to go on this mission
anyone.
trip, right?
Yes,
And
anyone.
so what are your responsibility?
Well, Brian and I divided the responsibilities. Like, for example, I am a clergy, so I am in charge of connecting to those places who invited us to come and preparing for the programs the projects that we do, and coordinating with the leaders back in the Philippines, and working also with the churches here in our conference, Northern Illinois Annual Conference, who are sending their people. And Brian can speak about his part of his responsibilities.
So you've been, now how long have you been working on this project?
Oh, well, we go there every 2 years. So as soon as we are back from the last trip, then we start mapping and planning and started looking at the invitations, because we receive more than 2 invitations.
I see.
Yes, and then we make priority who really need the most and which one can we afford, because as you know, they are very expensive to plan a mission trip to the Philippines.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Brian, you're one of the co-leaders.
Yes.
What's your responsibility?
My responsibility is to make sure that we have transportation to get there, make sure that our meals are provided for, make sure that our safety is taken care of, making sure that all the needs are met, because one of the key responsibilities is that we have older people that are traveling with us, and they need special care, and they need the ability to have water on site, make sure that the nutrition is met not only for ourselves but our hosts as well. So it's coordinating that, coordinating the transportation, coordinating materials being purchased and provided on the site, and making sure that it's financially, that we have the finances and the resources to make this trip happen.
My other responsibilities are to make sure we have all the necessary forms that we needed for the trip, including the travel insurance, the health insurance that will cover everyone, that I connect with the General Board of Global Ministries of the United Methodist Church that is based in New York. And I'm also responsible of trying to find churches who can provide us some financial support toward the project.
And maybe not only financial support, because I guess when you're going, what are some of the basic needs that they may need? Basic things, maybe aspirin, right?
Yes.
Medical supplies.
And you're a nurse, Emily, and so they're probably going to look at you to take care of them, not for them to take care of the group. Right?
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, always part of our volunteers in mission work is the medical mission aspect of it, so that when we get to the local communities, which are usually poor communities, we offer medical help, so that some of our personnel are experts in the fields, and we bring medicines, we bring equipment, and then many times people line up the whole day to be served by our team.
Line up the whole day?
Yes, because many people in the Philippines do not see any doctor for years.
For years?
So if we have a few doctors and nurses, we are able to service their health needs for the day or for that moment.
And this is why, was it you, Brian, that mentioned that we have different needs?
Yes.
If people that have needs here in the United States have different needs in other countries, as Leo mentioned, that some people haven't seen a doctor for what, years?
Yes.
And it's hard for me to believe, because I'm here in Chicago. We have good insurance, good hospitals.
And I've participated in more than a dozen of these volunteers in mission teams.
A dozen?
This is just one among many groups in which I participate quite regularly.
And you know, Brian, to participate, to join this trip, the mission trip, is there any age requirement? Can let's say a 12-year-old wants to come, or
if a 12-year-old were to come along, we would ask that their parent would come along with
them.
That's
too?
a little bit.
So it has. I mean, it has no age, as long as whatever age you are, there's someone. If it's a young student wants to come along, it has to be chaperoned by the parent or someone responsible for him. But let's go. We're at the younger age. And I was talking with Leo, and Leo mentioned to me that he was 80 years old. No, that's young.
Not yet. That's approaching it.
Right? So really, if a person is in good health, age really doesn't matter, because look at Emily. She's what, must be around 21 years old.
I'm 32.
Oh, you're
84.
Oh, you're 84.
Yes, look at
and
her.
And look at Emily. She's a sprite. And she's a retired nurse. Correct? And so with her experience in the health industry, she can provide a lot of help to the people. As you
Right.
mentioned,
Yeah.
they don't see a doctor for many years.
Yeah.
The
And-
experience that the elderly, the older group brings to us is invaluable.
Yeah.
Without their knowledge and their experiences, that they know what the needs are. Many of them that travel with us are originally from the Philippines, and they're going back home to give as a way of returning.
And plus, they still have their family connections in the Philippines. That's why it makes it more special for us Filipinos to go back to our own country and serve our own people.
Yes.
Because we know the needs, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to give back to our own people.
Yes, and you know, when I was growing up, my neighbor was my next door,
Uh-huh.
and now, who's our neighbor? Because of the internet,
Yeah.
we're commuting back and forth. We could catch a plane and be
Yes.
in another country for 3-4 hours. So now, and our global warming, climate change, everyone is responsible for the environment now. So our neighbor is whom? Everyone in the world, it looks
Yes.
like.
Yes.
And so if we don't help our neighbors,
Yes.
we're going to maybe not help the planet.
Yes.
Because, you know, in the book of Genesis, what's that first line? In the beginning,
beginning.
what God created, what?
the heavens
and the earth, right?
Yes.
And so now we're our neighbors all over now.
Right.
And like you were
Right.
communicating and trying to set up this mission trip, how? By email?
All kinds of ways.
Communication.
Email, phone, sending them brochures. We have a website where they can contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And many of the leaders there are also personal friends of ours,
Yes.
with whom we had worked at one point or another,
Yeah.
either here or there.
Yeah.
So it's really just as you said, among neighbors. We know each other very well.
Yeah.
We are one church in the
One-
Methodist Church.
Well, the Methodist Church are all over the world.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
So we have
they're
connections.
all over. Yes.
Yes.
We're all connected to each other.
Yes.
As Brian said, we are a connectional church. That's what it is.
Yes. Now, Brian, on the requirements, can you go over the requirements? Let's say someone in the audience watching this show and you get 10 calls. Explain to them the requirement to go on this trip.
You need to be in fit condition,
Okay.
certified by your physician that you're able to travel, and then you need to have the desire to have your life transformed
Desire to have your life transformed. Okay.
through mission, because if that's the major step, is to want to give, and then you will receive tenfold for what you have given.
And that's the only requirement.
That's the only requirement.
That's excellent. Now, and Emily, you mentioned you've been on several of these trips,
Yes.
not only to the Philippines, to South America, you mentioned.
Yes.
What do you get out of it, Emily?
Well,
I mean, you mentioned you're 84 years old.
yes, I was with President Carter in his building in international
Habitat for
habitat in
Humanity.
the Philippines.
You started with President Carter.
Yes,
No, that was one
99.
among many trips we had.
Oh,
I was also there.
and how many trips have you gone on mission trips now?
I can't even remember because I've been so many outside the United States as well as in here in
We
the
went to
States.
South Dakota.
I was in Amcor and Sugar
In
Brown,
Africa.
where we this United Methodist
Committee
Relief
on
Fund,
So you've been to Africa,
Africa,
Oh, yeah.
you've been-
Chile,
Chile,
Yeah.
Cuba,
Haiti.
Haiti,
How about in the States?
Korea.
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 I was in
China, too.
Arkansas,
Arkansas.
Paper Project,
New Orleans.
Rounds.
So you've been all over United States and
In South Dakota.
and
South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
Yes.
On mission trips.
I'm next.
New Orleans.
I'm next older to her. I've been to the Holy Land.
Yeah, oh.
Spent over a month in the Christian peacemaking team down there. I've been to Indonesia.
Okay,
I've
but
been to
why do you keep on going,
Singapore.
Emily
Yeah.
and Leo? Why are you?
Yeah.
What do you get out of these mission trips?
Well, the thing is, when you're just here in your own home, you don't know what is going on the other side of the fence.
Yes.
So by going to different countries, you'll see actually what these people are going through, and if ever we will be able to help them, That's when we could see that they really needed help. That's when we give the help that they needed. And it's our chance to learn their cultures and understand these people more, and then also having a nice fellowship. And we Methodists, we profess our faith through our skills, our financial help, and by having mission encounter with other countries of the world.
Our understanding of mission is sharing life, sharing the gospel, sharing the good news, sharing the love of God in Jesus Christ. And however we do that, and mission trips are one of those ways. And as an active pastor for years, I had participated in this because I recruited from the membership of my church, leaders of my church, to accompany me going to mission fields. And when they came, they were changed Christians.
Changed Christians?
They realized what Christianity is all about, the love of God in Jesus Christ through us. And we are never the same. And therefore, to me, it's one way of recruiting personnel for missions, either voluntary, part-time, or permanent, and to get them interested in knowing, learning firsthand what mission is all about. And when they come back to the United States, they tell the good story. And then they tell more, and more people are enthused to participate and get in the fun of being Christians all over the world.
And you know, and when you go on this mission trip, it's not a religious type of mission trip. It's you're going there to help, like you mentioned, build a school maybe, or to paint. It's not going preaching your religion, but it's there to do some work. Is that right, Brian?
It's there for service. We're there to serve them, and to we may do some teaching of some classes with we have professionals that may teach an accounting class.
Yes.
Maybe a religion class, depending on what the needs are of what they're looking for. One of the other key aspects is when you do an international mission, they don't have the entitlements that many of the people in the United States may feel, that when you're giving, that they're entitled to certain gifts and responsibilities that they receive when there's a disaster. When you're overseas, they don't expect anything.
Because the government, where they live at, the government doesn't do what we do here in the United States.
It doesn't provide. So that when you're over there, they're truly moved, and it truly is a gift, and it is so appreciated of what you have given them.
And the most important part, as we have been saying all along, is building relationships. We gain so much friendship.
Yes.
And we get to know a lot of people who are really leaders, actually in their own communities and in their own schools, in their own churches as well. So these are gifts of doing mission international, and here too, locally in the United States.
So, you know, you tell me what you get out of it, but what do the recipients get out of it? What do you feel they get out of it? Leo?
Pretty similar to what we get out of it. It's the sharing of the life of faith. You know, and to be religious doesn't mean that we all just pray and bend our knees and all that. It's the involvement in the totality of life and the interest in one another. And we become enthusiastic about our faith and our relationships, partly because of the enthusiasm that we see in them, you know, and they are as happy as we are when we leave one another in terms of solid friendships and a feeling of being one in this world that God created for us all to enjoy and to help one another. And therefore, to us, it's just not strengthening our faith, but also their own faiths are strengthened by our own presence, because they express in so many words appreciation for our going out of our way, spending for as much as we're worth that we can afford, and then they receive that in like kind, and they also have gestures of love and regards for all of us. And our churches are revived over there, and our churches are revived over here in the sharing of these stories. And we continue friendships. So many of the people that we had met 20 years ago, sometimes we still write them notes. And that's how deep friendships are developed. So
when you give a gift, like a building to a preschool, it becomes a symbol of a community. And the respect that the parents come in and they adopt it, they're going to make sure, and they're going to take care of that because they're so grateful for the painting and the restoration of the project that all of a sudden you go back in 5 years, it's still in mint condition because it's something that they can't afford to do it over and over again. So they take care of what you've given them. They fix things that we discard. It's amazing how they can, with the talents that these people have, and it just, if they just could be put to use to benefit themselves, it would be.
May I just mention one project that stays in my mind? About 11 years ago, we had our volunteers in mission in Echage, Isabela, very far north in Luzon. And when we were there in partnership with the people there, one of the big projects we had was to fix up the student center, paint them all over, fencing, and we even had the water tower fixed and the supply for them. And this student center was used by about 50 students from our churches from all over that northern part of Luzon.
Yes.
Many of them were children of pastors. And this house that we had painted and replenished is a gem in their community. And when we meet some of them along the life here, they mention that they are still using that. And that revives their memory of what we did together. And so
I have a little thing that is one of the most important things that I have seen to many people who have been part of the communities that we have served is that they go back to their own churches and their own communities and homes, and then they start changing lives as well because they share what they have experienced through our work with the volunteers in mission. So in a way, it's promoting peace and the love of God through sharing it with others as well.
And going on this mission, as you mentioned, changes their lives and people that are on the mission trip.
Yes.
And when they come back to Chicago, it changes their lives and how they treat the people here in Chicago.
Absolutely.
And the people here in Chicago are benefiting also because people that are coming back, they're probably helping the people here also.
Yes.
you should just listen to their stories when they tell them back when they come back, and the pictures and all that, and it enthuses people with regards to what the church is all about all over the world.
I remember Reverend Jerry Miller came back.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it changed his life.
Yes.
And he's going back again.
Yes, he's going back again.
Yeah, he's part of our group.
He's part, and he wants to go and give also.
Yes.
Because I remember he said that when he came back, he received more than what he gave.
Yes. This group that goes to the Philippines every 2 years, we are willing to go to churches to share our stories.
You mean here in the Chicagoland area?
Yes, in our conference.
You know, to go on your mission, one does not have to belong to Methodist Church.
No.
It could be anyone, right?
Yes.
Because when you go there, you're working on projects. And as Brian mentioned, the project could be building a school, painting, teaching. And so whoever wants to join your group, they could just call Brian or Cerna and say, look, I want to come and be on your mission trip to the Philippines.
Sure, yes.
Brian, so you may get some calls now, Brian.
We're open to anyone and all.
Now, what happened after you leave the mission site? You know, let's say, do you ever finish a project? You know, you're going there for 2 weeks. Is that enough time to finish the project, or do you start the project and then the people in the Philippines where you're going to, will they finish the project? Or
yes, there is a place that we have been working, which is in the north of the Philippines, and for 2 weeks we did not finish the project because it's construction for the second floor of their educational building. And so after we left the money to do the work, to purchase the materials, to pay for the people to do the work. So they continue the work.
And then they complete it.
Yes.
And then do they send you pictures back?
Oh,
and-
yes.
And so
Yes.
it also depends on what project we're
Yeah.
talking about,
Yeah.
because when we go there, we have several projects.
Yeah.
Some we just start, some we just join, some we just continue, and some are continuing projects. Some are done. You know, for instance, we have preaching engagements all over one province. Then for that time, we finished that project. And one of our pastors here was a resource person helping the pastors there preach more down-to-earth sermons,
Sure.
biblical sermons, just to help them along. Not that they did not know it,
Sure.
but in sharing of it, it refreshes their memories, and it refreshes all of us and strengthens our own approach to the interpreting of the gospel.
Well, let's say you got 19 people going on your mission, and you must have someone that is going to be teaching some type of classes.
Yeah, yes.
Maybe children. Do they have to bring textbooks with them, or what kind of material? I mean, how do you set up what you're going to teach here in Chicago? Do you have meetings then, form different groups, saying this is the educational people that are going to be teachers teaching in the grammar school? So do they meet and prepare their books on what they're going to teach?
We have site people that are there on the ground that are already in there, and they tell us. We tell them what our specialties are and our gifts, and we ask them how we can use their gifts, and they tell us we would love for you to teach this for 3 days, or we would like you to teach this, and then they work from them and say, oh, do you have this? Do you need a textbook, or are they already there? We'll work with them to find out what we need to bring, and if we have to bring something, we will bring it, and if it's already there, we will use what they have.
Yeah, but you would have to tell that person who's going to teach
Right.
now, so she could start preparing now.
Exactly.
I mean, you cannot tell her a week before you're going to leave that this is what you're going to do, right?
Right. No.
I mean, so
we prepare the person.
So do you meet once a month now?
No. Basically, before we go for the trip, at least we meet 6 to 7 times.
6 to 7 times?
Right. So this team going to the Philippines in 2009, we already met 3 times.
3 times?
Yes, and the next big one is in September.
Okay, is it September?
Yes.
And Emily, you were going to say something. How do you prepare yourself?
Well, it all depends. Sometimes it's on the spot. Like I've experienced in Sunday school, so I play with the kids. We just group games and Bible stories, which I memorize. Which just spot teaching. So, and I love the kids. So just making, grouping together, playing together. That's one way of really interacting with the children.
Now, you must bring big suitcases to carry all the material, or the equipment, or the supplies. I mean, how do you carry everything?
When we travel, we ask generally under previous and airline transportation rules, as everything is changing currently.
Yes, everything's changed. Yes.
Currently, everyone is allowed to bring 2 pieces of luggage between 50 and 70 pounds.
57 pounds?
And what we ask them to do is try to limit their needs to 50 to 1 suitcase.
1 suitcase.
And allow us to put the supplies, or medical supplies, or that we are bringing with them into another box.
Okay, so you know that must be hard on people that like to bring a lot of their own personal supplies, right?
Well, but you know, yes, I know, but you know,
the personal care products. So you got to cut that out, right?
Yeah, but you know, basically, whatever someone needs, like personal needs, you can buy them in the Philippines.
Philippines?
Oh yeah, they're all there, and not all of the materials that we need, we bring it from here.
Yeah.
No, we buy them there.
Oh, you buy them there?
Yes, yes.
But so what kind of medical supplies would they need from Chicago to bring there that they don't have there?
They got practically everything, but the thing is, there is made that we are bringing. That it's more usually multivitamins and aspirin for the kids, and toothpaste like that, health kits for the kids, and sometimes multivitamins, especially for the
multivitamins.
Yeah, multivitamins, especially for the mothers.
Yes.
Because at home, in the Philippines, they are not really using those multivitamins.
Is that right? So, you know,
Or they
here-
cannot afford it.
They cannot,
They cannot
here,
afford to buy the medication.
Basically,
yeah, you know, it's amazing that
Yeah.
here in Chicago,
Yeah.
we could go to the doctor and get a shot
Yeah.
or get some kind of medication for our illness,
Yeah.
and it's not aspirins.
No.
Whereas their medication is aspirins,
Pain reliever.
pain relievers,
Pain
and,
reliever.
and they're grateful
Yes.
that they're receiving that type of a prescription, aspirins,
Yeah,
to
but-
relieve their illness and sickness.
Right, but we also have doctors that we work with that we buy those antibiotics from the Philippines.
Oh,
It's prescribed by the doctor
Yes.
that we work in the Philippines. Yes, so we buy it from the pharmacy in the Philippines.
Oh.
Yes.
and those prescription drugs are similar to what we have here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, same.
Yeah, and they're cheaper.
They're lower price.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, I know. I mean, here in the United States, our prescription drugs are sky high.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
When I participated in the medical mission team about 10 years ago to Southern Leyte, many of our group were medical doctors and nurses, and they had connections here. They let their people know that they are going to the Philippines, and they let the pharmaceutical companies know that they're going to the Philippines. And if they had any donation, even the mention of their companies are welcome, but that they supplied our medicine needs, and therefore we brought a lot of supplies down there, and they were a much more than welcome gift to the medical people there who did not have those kinds of resources, and therefore they were used judiciously through the medical practitioners there with our participation, and so that was a very important one in Hinunangan, Southern Leyte.
so okay. So now you're going to go down 19 people with 2 suitcases weighing 50 to 70 pounds, right?
Yes.
So one of the suitcases is going to be your personal clothing and
Yeah.
your personal care products.
Sure.
Basically.
What are you going to put in the other suitcase? Do you have your list that maybe
Yes.
the audience could help you collect some of the items that you're going to put in the second suitcase that's going to weigh 50 to 70 pounds?
Yes.
What are some of the, let's start with you, sir, and we're going to go
Yeah.
right down the line
Right.
to see what you need in that second suitcase.
Right. In our brochure registration, we said that we need multivitamins for children and
Multivitamins,
adults.
okay.
Yes, and storybooks for children.
And storybooks? Okay. Well, books weigh.
yeah, that's true.
Okay, and so that's what you're going to collect. Leo, what are you going to bring down?
I'm not a medical person.
You're not, well, but you're going to bring something down, right?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, you're not going to bring a horse or a cow down there, right?
Oh, no.
All right.
My personal responsibility for one bag are my personal stuff.
Okay, that's one
The
bag.
second bag is our team responsibility.
Okay.
And therefore, it's a joint
Yeah.
Joint
decision
effort?
of our effort
Okay.
as to what we can possibly promote for us to bring.
Sure.
And we're still at that point of deciding that, but many of us already have some prepared. But many basic personal essentials
Yes.
are helpful to our people. Children's stuff, for instance. And
The dental supplies.
The dental supply?
Yeah, dental supplies.
mere
Toothpaste.
Yeah, what type of dental supply?
Well, we bring all the time toothpastes,
Toothpaste?
toothbrushes,
Toothbrushes?
and dental floss.
A dental floss?
Yes,
Yeah.
for our dental mission. And we go to the dentists here in the Chicago area.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, and we ask our churches to bring those extra supplies they have in their closet. You know, exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Pens,
And, Brian?
pencils,
Pencils?
pencils,
Right.
Pens,
right.
school kids,
Right.
backpacks,
Yeah.
Backpacks?
things that you can give to children
Yeah.
for their education is greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Crayons,
Yeah, crayons. Yeah.
Crayons?
soap, washcloth, the sort of that.
Washcloths?
Yeah.
So,
Soap?
yeah,
You mean they have no soap down in the Philippines?
they do, but not all people have them.
Not all people have
Yes.
them?
not enough.
We make
Not
a health
enough.
kit which is composed of toothbrush, toothpaste, washcloth,
Yeah.
and a soap. So we give that, we make a pack and give it to its family, or when we we conduct the clinic.
Yeah.
When they don't
Well,
have
what's the average income of the Philippines down where you're going? It must be very low if they can't afford soap or pencils, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe a lot of them aren't working.
No.
No job.
No job.
An average person there, or many, I shouldn't say average, many people there will survive on less than $2 a day.
$2 a day,
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is a good wage.
and they're surviving on two. What is the exchange rate from our dollar, and what's their
Yes.
money called?
Peso.
Peso.
Yes.
Between 40 and 50 pesos to
$1.
the dollar.
40 and 50 pesos to a dollar.
Currently 45, so it's right in the middle.
Right in the middle, and they survive on $2
$2 a day.
a day. That's 90 pesos.
Pesos.
And boy, we should learn here
That's
in
a big amount
America.
already. I
Yeah,
think.
Yes.
yeah, we should learn how to survive on $2 a day. Huh?
But part of their life is it's a shared life. So the
Life.
whole family shares
whole
everything
family
that
shares?
they have
Yes.
together,
Yeah.
not as individuals alone.
Yeah.
So that's one part of survival for them.
Now, I remember when Reverend Jerry Miller came back.
Yes.
They wanted to start a bank
Oh.
where they were
They
collecting
can lend.
funds where they could start a bank to lend people in the Philippines money to start a business.
Yes.
And how's that going? Are you familiar
Like
with
a
that?
cooperative.
It's a
you have
micro-lending.
cooperative.
Yes.
Micro lending.
Yes. Micro lending.
Yes.
And probably without any interest. Probably lend, because what I've been reading about that's been successful in other
Yes.
parts of the country.
Indiana,
Yes.
there was one
Yes.
that was very famous.
Yes.
They started a bank that really helped the whole community. We had that practiced here and there, some successfully more than others, but it's still a very helpful project if it can be done, and it is being done at different places. And so if we can help push that along, it would be a good contribution on our part.
Now, the length of the time that you're going, you said you're leaving February the 12th.
Coming
To
back
the
the 28th
So you fly from Chicago to where?
to Hong Kong
Hong Kong.
or Singapore.
And then from there you go into Manila.
Yes.
Now,
Actually,
Or Korea.
this one, we were on our way in. The plan is this time is to fly either into Korea or into Hong Kong, and then fly on directly into Cebu, so that we're only traveling to Manila once, so that we're not backtracking. So we will fly into Cebu, fly from Cebu 6 days later to Manila, and then we will fly back from Manila back to the States.
I see.
Yeah. Yep.
And so with the cost of fuel going up,
Yes.
and you probably haven't bought your tickets yet.
Not yet. We're
because
waiting for a sale.
I thought there was going to be a sale now.
I
Because
know.
fuel prices
I
are
know.
sky high.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking. Are you having any fundraisers? And because for 19 people to go on this trip, and they each have to probably pay their own expense.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, right? And so it's expensive.
It is.
Here you're going on the mission trip. You got to pay your own expense. You got to devote 2 weeks of your time. Some people might be working, and some might be retired, but still, that's 2 weeks to go and help people there. I mean, that is a commitment to make.
It is.
A big commitment.
It is.
In addition, we also have our own personal contribution to whatever projects that we'd like to do together. So it's in addition to our personal
Sure,
expenses.
because each one of you probably have your own, as Leo says, want to do your own personal thing. To
I'm
help
using
someone.
my tithe. Part of my tithe to our expenses,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
my expenses.
But it's so rewarding that when you
Yes.
come back, the amount of time, the
Yes.
amount of money,
Yes.
your reward is far more
Yes.
than what
you give.
Than what you give.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really true. That's true.
And so how are you? What is the cost? Let's say a person out there wants to come, and so he would have to put up his old put up the money to pay for all of this there. Now, how can someone who may not be able to travel, how can you help someone who may not be able to travel that wants to go?
Some of us are able to ask for help from our relatives and from our close friends who might want to contribute towards our own expenses and our participation. So that's one way. Some are in terms of the local church taking up offerings to help contribute towards the expenses of the medical or the mission team. And so there are many ways.
Now, it takes, Cerna, you mentioned that you went 2 years ago.
Yes.
So it takes to go on a mission trip, it takes 2 years to set up a mission trip?
Well, not really, but it's very expensive. So we don't have enough resources to do mission trip every year.
Yes.
And so that's why we wait for 2 years so that we can plan for it longer. At the same time, we can raise money for it because it's very expensive. And your question about who, if someone can't go, how can they help?
Yes.
They can help us with their prayers.
Prayers?
With their financial donation is always welcome.
Okay.
And those things in kinds that we said we will be needing for our dental and medical missions.
I see.
Yes.
And so if people cannot afford to go or have the time to go, as Cerna says, there are other ways for them to help.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
you know, I would like to go if I had the time.
All right.
And because I think Cerna, you're going to go, and your talents. What's your talent that you're going to give on this mission trip?
Well, my talent is connecting with people. I always thank God for giving me this gift that I believe is good, is because I can connect with all kinds of people, and then I can preach, I can teach, and I can put my hands into doing work like construction.
Sure.
She knows how to do recruitment too. She recruits a lot of us.
And then Leo, what is your contribution?
Oh, I just fill in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps?
I'm an old hand in the Philippines, so I know many things there, even on the spot and even down here. So I always find myself useful whenever I'm there. I just volunteer.
Volunteer?
He is very good with history.
History, okay.
Yes, and that's why it's very helpful. I've been traveling with him since 2001, and I find myself learning a lot from him because he is a historian.
Now, on this trip, you're going to visit 2 villages then?
Yes, 2 places.
2 or 3?
2.
2. The first one, you're going to
Harris Memorial College.
Taytay Rizal.
Taytay Rizal.
And what are you going to do there again?
We're going to do medical and dental and paint job.
Medical, dental, and paint. Now, medical and dental, you're going to provide health care and painting.
Yes.
Okay, and then that's now your second site. What are you going to do at your second site?
Our second site is in Mactan Island on Cebu, and in that site we will do some light constructions and rebuilding of a facility that serves the needs of the local community for the impoverished families. It brings people in, it teaches them a skill and helps them market the skill that they have, whether it be making a greeting card or arts and crafts. It's also provides education for students that want and have a desire to learn. They offer scholarships to help the parents so that they could put their funds towards taking care of their family and still provide the education so that when this child is an adult, he in turn can provide funds back to the family to improve their lives. We'll also provide medical and dental on the site there. And possibly do something with a preschool.
Preschool. And you probably buy your materials there in
The materials is very heavy and bulky, and we find that buying the material locally puts money into the economy, thus providing income for the ones that are in need of the dollars. We find that they go a lot farther there. And a lot of times the merchants are willing to work with us and work on a lower commission because we're buying it and they see the needs are going right into the community.
Right.
And so that's what you're going to provide then, Brian.
Yes.
And then also, Emily, you're going to provide Sunday school teaching.
Yes.
Right?
Because I am a jack of all trades, so I fit in
Jack of all trades. Well, you know, here's
84 years old.
Here's
exactly.
the guests. I have 4 guests.
Yes.
ranging in age
Yes.
from maybe Cerna, 21 years old, to Emily,
Yes.
ranging 84 years old.
Yes.
And you're probably the oldest one on the in the group, probably, Emily.
I guess
We
so.
have our retired principal from Wheaton.
Oh, yes. Glenn.
Glenn?
Might be
Yeah.
competing with
Glenn Rogers.
So the age,
Yes.
and
Last year in 2007 we had 92. She had
92
yes,
years
she
old?
was 92 years
and,
old.
and it's across the range of male,
Yes.
female,
Yeah.
young,
And
and
Yeah.
elderly,
Yeah.
elderly going to the Philippines
And
or,
it's-
or
yeah.
wherever they're going to go on a mission trip to
Yeah.
help the people in need,
yes.
and all enjoying themselves.
and
Yes.
all enjoying themselves. Yes.
We will have people working with us that are from 14 years old, 12 years old kids, people traveling with us
In the
that are probably
Philippines.
from their mid-20s until their late 80s.
Late 80s there.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a very diverse group.
Yes.
It's just an opportunity to really work with all kinds of people. And to me, it's actually a perfect picture of what the kingdom of God is
Yes.
about. It's everybody.
You know, maybe we're having the presidential election.
Yeah.
We're having the Republican, Democrat, and they pick cabinet members.
Yes.
Maybe we should have a cabinet
Yeah.
called missions,
Ah.
and
Yeah.
maybe they should appoint a cabinet person to provide mission work
Yes.
throughout the world. I think
Amen.
you hear
Yeah.
that, whoever's running
Yeah.
for president, you got
Yeah.
McCain, Obama.
Yeah.
That's what we should do.
Yes.
Have a cabinet.
Yeah, that would be
for
wonderful.
Missionary, whoever.
We
and-
suggest you to chair it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
and then pick someone who would chair
Yes.
and provide mission work
Sure.
because this might be the better way to find peace
Exactly.
throughout the world.
The Peace
Exactly.
Corps
The Peace Corps, yes, yes, sir.
concept is like that.
Yes,
And if
yes.
someone wants to know that their funds or their gifts, this is direct aid. The
Yeah.
money that these people receive goes directly to them. There's no
Yeah.
middleman, no bureaucracy. The money that is taken there is spent in the Philippines. It is spent on their own. All the costs that we pass on to us is all each participant is responsible for their own transportation,
Yes.
lodging, and materials. The gifts that we receive is all spent on the individuals.
Well, it's glad that we talked about the mission trip, and we're going to have to talk again when you come back, and tell our audience on what you gave
Yes.
and what they gave,
Yes.
and how you felt